Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Reef, of the Voice of the Colts podcast. We're back with another episode. The self-anointed voice of Colts Nation is here. And we got a lot to talk about. Man, listen, the Colts lost to the Houston Texans. Score was 20-16, the lowest scoring game of the Colts season. And we now fall to 8-4 in second place in the AFC South. It's very tragic. A lot of people like to blame the refs. A lot of people want to blame the coaching staff. A lot of people want to blame maybe Daniel Jones. And we're going to get into all that and so much more. But first, let me introduce you guys to some very special guests we have here today, starting with my main man, Ben. Ben, how we doing today, brother?
I'm good. Well, I'm not. I'm okay. How are you?
We're getting there, man. We're getting somewhere. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Ben.
All right, yeah, no problem. I'm 22 years old. I'm from South Bend, Indiana. I've been a Colts fan pretty much my whole life. I'm a student at Purdue right now. I'm finishing up pretty soon, actually. And yeah, I'm always a big sports guy. I'm really happy to be on. I always love talking about this kind of stuff like this.
Hey, man, I appreciate your time here with us today, brother. And moving on, we also have another very special guest for the first time. Everyone, please welcome my man, Jesse. Jesse, what's going on, brother? How you doing today?
Hey guys, how's it going? This is Jesse. I live in Southeast Missouri. I've been a Colts fan since 1995. My first quarterback that I actually remember as a Colts fan was Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh. I'm 34 years old and I work for a hospital as an administrator. I know it doesn't look
Nice.
like it, but I was off today and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be comfortable.
Well, listen, we want all the voices of Colts Nation on this podcast at some point, so I'm really, really appreciative that you guys joined me today to talk a little bit about a very depressing topic. But nonetheless, dude, it's funny that you said that you were a fan of the Colts since 1995. I was literally born in 1995.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so yeah, not that much older than me though. But it's just
No,
funny
no.
that you started so young. I think I started being a Colts fan probably in like 2000. I want to say 2003 or 2002. It was the Madden that had Marshall Falk on the cover. If you guys remember which one that was, I want to say 2003.
I think that was 2000. That might have been 2001.
When
No,
Marshall
no,
Falk,
I think
no,
that's
no, 2001 I think was I don't know. I didn't actually. 2000. The one with
that
Marshall
might have
Falk
been
was my first
2003.
one. I think it was 2003.
Yeah,
It could have been 2002. Whatever year it was, that was
yeah.
essentially the year I became a Colts fan. I just used the Colts all the time in Madden. I was a little torn between them and the St. Louis Rams at the time, and for me it was receivers, man. I'm a big wide receiver fan, so it was Marvin Harrison and
Mhm.
Reggie. Oh, it had to be 2003, I think, because Reggie Wayne, I think that was his first year on
Yeah,
Madden.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
he
and I
was.
do
Yeah.
vividly remember playing with Reggie Wayne on that game. Um,
You guys are throwing all these years around. That's the year I was born. So that's really
hey,
So
listen,
I
we get a lot of
you're
perspectives. Some
talking
young guys, some old guys.
talking about a Madden from when I was a baby. Jeez.
Wait, what was the first
so I
Madden you played, Ben?
Oh, well, the first one I ever played on my own, like that I owned, my brother and I would play Madden 11, the one with Drew Brees on the cover. The first one I ever actually played, my neighbor, I think had the 2008 one. Is that the one with Mike Vick on the cover, maybe? I think. I think, oh, I
2007,
think
I think
oh
was
08
Mike
was it?
Vick. I want to say
yeah,
What was
07 or
one of
Mike. It was one
those?
of those, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the year that Mike Vick was the most stoppable character in the history of sports. It was
Oh,
unbelievable.
yeah.
so I got a funny story as a Colts fan growing up in Missouri. We didn't have Chiefs fans like we do today. We did have some Chiefs fans, but they're not like it is today. I just remember it was Rams fans. It was and you go outside, it was either a Marshall Faulk jersey, Kurt Warner, uh, Quadri Ishmael, and oh, what was his name? And it was the Torrey Holt,
Corey
and I
Hall is
just
my guy.
remember just that's how old I am. But
Yeah.
I just remember like seeing all of these jerseys all the time. And then whenever the Rams were essentially stolen from St. Louis to go to LA,
Hmm.
a lot of people became Chiefs fans because, the Chiefs weren't that great at the time. But then you bring in Alex Smith and Andy Reid, and all of a sudden, they're looking like Super Bowl contenders. which is kind of funny because that's what a lot of people said about Daniel Jones with the Colts. So
Yeah, listen, it's a good transition. It's a good transition because I don't see it, but we're gonna get a little bit more into our playoff chances and what we're gonna do in the playoffs a little bit later. I do want to start though. We do have to talk about this game here, and this game was frustrating for a plethora of reasons. I mean, we could start anywhere with this game. My biggest concern, and the thing that infuriates me more than anything, is that this Colts team had the best offense in football easily. Like it couldn't be contested. All right. And this game, I mean, we were what, 3 for 10 on third down, 0 for 2 on fourth down. Like we could not stay on the field. It was like a 10-minute time of possession differential. Like we practically didn't have a football for an entire quarter of football. And it was just miserable.
mhm.
How do we what's going on with the offense? Who has an idea of what's going on with the offense? Because I'm starting to get a little clueless. It's starting to feel clueless to me.
My My thought with this, first of all, is I think the Jones injury is worse than they're letting on. I think I talked with you guys about this a little bit. I think he's really limited in how much he can move and run around
Mhm.
right now. And for those first 7 or 8 weeks, our entire offense was predicated on his ability to play action and his threat as a runner. Because he doesn't really look like it, but we all know he's a damn good athlete. He can really run when he needs to. And these last few weeks, look, credit to the guy for trying to toughen out on a broken fibula, but he clearly cannot move in the same way he can, and I think that really limits our offense. I would say if I had to pick one thing, I would say that's the big factor.
So
I
then,
agree.
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jesse.
I was gonna say I would agree. Really, because you look back at some of those games and going back to the Raiders game, for instance. I mean, when Daniel Jones was in the pocket, he was rolling out, and in that touchdown to Michael Pittman Jr., we had Max Crosby, about to pop him. That was a good example of this team, the offense being able to run, and I do have to agree with Ben. It's that fractured tibula or fibula is really hindering him more than what and it's really just giving me Andrew Luck like vibes, before the guy was out with that broken leg from that snowboarding accident he had for months. The team didn't really say anything about it, but I also like to think that really our offensive line, particularly, um, and let's be honest, Barnard Raymond, he's had a lot of flags. He's had a lot of penalties on him. Braden Smith, you can tell he's lost a step. I mean, and looking at the Pittsburgh game, for example, Atlanta, the same thing. I mean, those two were just getting just beat off the ball like every time. But the interior was fine. Bortolini fine. Uh, Q was fine. Goncalves was fine. But I think it's our tackles. Bernie, he gets and a lot of penalties that Bernie gets. I mean, have really cost us, like that crucial catch that Josh Townsend made. That got called back because of Bernie.
But
Braden Smith, I mean,
wait.
he
Pause,
was
pause for a
either
second. Pause for a second. Though that wasn't even a hold. That's one of those things
yeah,
where you watch that replay and it's like that wasn't a hold. And I
I
agree
know.
with the most part about the offensive line not playing very well. Sure, like I get that. And I don't entirely agree with either of you guys about the fibula being as big of a deal as you guys are saying it is. I didn't
Mhm.
really see a guy that was struggling to move. I saw a guy that was unwilling to move. I think it's more mental than it is physical. I don't think physically, like we watched him, I thought he moved
Mhm.
just fine. The other thing is, and Gonzalez, you brought up Gonzalez. I think Gonzalez was awful. He was awful that game. I think same thing with Bortolini, who I don't think it's been consistent issues. None of the guys on the front five have had any consistent issues at the line of scrimmage
Mhm.
this year. None of it has been consistent. So I get where we come from when we say this. I feel like the thing that I think with Colts fans, especially, and we do this a lot, and I see this a lot. The thing that I think is that we want so badly for Daniel Jones to be the guy that we
Yeah.
start grasping at straws for anything and everything else to be the answer and not just Daniel Jones being a shell of what he was at the beginning of the season. And My biggest problem. It's funny because people brought up all these stats of Daniel Jones. Like, oh, he has like 100 rating over the last 2 games, even though he lost, and he hasn't turned the ball over, and he hasn't taken a lot of sacks, and he has this amount of yards and this completion percentage. Although his completion percentage was awful against the Texans, it was barely 50% against the Texans. They put up all these stats to make it look like Daniel Jones isn't the problem. But I look at the stats and I see is 3 for 10 on third down. I see us. What is it? Actually, between the last 2 games, 8 for 23 on third down, a 27-minute difference in time of possession. 27 minutes difference in time of possession. We do not stay on the field anymore. We're not getting first downs. We're not starting with our 7-8 yard plays on first down that we've been doing all year long. And I think that falls back on the quarterback. We're not executing. And it could be other things. Like it could be maybe like wide receivers. Like I'm not the analyst that's going to be able to like break down the film and be like, oh, this is actually the wide receiver's fault. I'm of the traditional thinking that, listen, at the end of the day, if the quarterback's going to get all this praise for the wins, he's going to have to hear all the blame for the losses. And I think that about every quarterback. So I'm fair to Daniel because I will do this for every other quarterback. If your offense can't stay on the field, I'm going to blame the quarterback.
So I think. Okay.
Okay, so sorry. No, I think
Right, right.
my thought here is what we've been saying for like the last, 3, 4 years that the Colts have been were a quarterback away. They're, because with
Mhm.
Richardson and then Minshew and then Flacco and whoever the hell
It's
else
been
was there.
awful,
What we've
man.
been saying for years is we're a quarterback away. We get a guy that runs the offense, we can do it. And Jones came in and just lit it on fire. He ran Steichen's offense perfectly. The line was clicking. Taylor was great. And I I agree that I don't think Daniel Jones is not like he's never gonna be a top 10, top 7, top 8 kind of guy. But I don't think that's what we need him to be. But that's kind of what we came to expect from how good the offense was working those first few weeks. I think what we have to look at here is I think the only I agree the completion percentage wasn't great, but the fact that he didn't turn the ball over, was throwing it away, that shows progress to me from the Daniel Jones that was
But
in New York the
But to
last few
me, we might
years.
as well have been turning the ball over. We weren't getting first downs. We were punting. How many punts did Rigoberto have?
So I
I
kind of.
he
Too
had a lot
many.
of but
Yeah.
the punts are so much better than the turnovers. I mean, the turnovers were
Yeah, but
just murder.
I know, I get it. I
I
Well.
obviously I do agree 100% they are worse, but in context, it didn't feel worse because a lot of these punts were coming from 3 and outs. A lot of these punts were coming
Yeah,
from
you are right
18-yard
about that.
drives. Like it's to me, that's why I feel like screw the turnovers, the 0 turnovers. Like, I'm looking at the 3 and 10 as a much
Mhm.
more damning stat on Daniel Jones that we are 3 for 10 on third down and 0 for 2 on fourth down.
So I think it's a few things. One, I think Daniel, and this is gonna. I'm putting this on Daniel. I think mentally, I think because of everything went down in New York, where he was saying, "Hey, we're moving you on third string." He asked for his release. He was playing bad. I think with the injury, part of what I do for my job is to analyze, people and things like that. And just from my perspective, I think he's playing through this injury because he doesn't want to be cut. He doesn't want to. He wants to be on the team next year, and he wants to make sure that, hey, I'm doing everything I can. I'm playing through this. I'm your guy. I want to be here in Indianapolis. And I think that's starting to really affect him mentally because he's hurt. The offense isn't clicking like it's been in the first 7 weeks, and I think another thing too, um, is Shane's play calling. I mean, first play of the game on the offense, they were in power I. They get like what 5, 6 yards, and all of a sudden now you're throwing the ball. When Jonathan Taylor, whenever he was running up the middle, he was getting like 6, 7 yards, and then for some reason we abandoned that. I think it's
Ah.
Shane's play calling too, and that
Here's the
hasn't
thing.
helped.
Here's the thing, and I want to talk a little more about Shane Steichen in a little bit. I want to focus a little more on Shane
Hmm.
Steichen soon. But the thing that I have with that is That's not been the recipe all season. The recipe all season has been throw the ball on early downs, has been gain the yards and score early throwing the football and finish the game running the football. That's been the recipe all year. So, like, I've been battling this every week with Colts fans because every time it doesn't work out, which it hasn't 3 of the last 4 games, it looks so much worse because you have JT, but at the same time, what's been working, like, no one was complaining about it when it was working. I don't mind Shane Steichen's play calling. As a matter of fact, I actually really like it. Now, he's had some very questionable decision-making. He's had some questionable decision-making over the last few weeks for sure. That I'm not going to argue. But I don't think that's a diagnosis of his play calling specifically. I think he's a fantastic play caller. I think that here's our problem with Daniel Jones. I think we're starting to see what we have with Daniel Jones. And we don't have a first-round pick for the next 2 years. So we're kind of stuck here. He's starting to show that he can look like the guy, but he's not the guy. And we don't really have much of a decision but to pay him. I think the only thing we could reasonably do, is franchise tag him. I don't want to see an extension at this point. Nothing short of maybe a Super Bowl appearance would change my mind at this point. I think Daniel Jones is just, the floor is too low. It's too low for us to take on for multiple years, but we don't really have a choice. And it really, really stings. And I think that he's hurting his chances. If the injury is, if in any way, is honestly affecting him to the point where he can't really play the way that we expect him to play, I think he's doing himself a disservice by playing through it, because now it's hurting those contract negotiations. He's going to make less money. We're probably not going to commit long term, and we're going to be in this quarterback carousel for seemingly forever.
Yeah, but the thing is, if he's not playing and the team's 8-4 and they're winning, and then he doesn't play, who's next? Riley Leonard? You know, and
I
with the
can't do that. No way. I don't think we win with Riley Leonard. I don't think it happens.
Yeah.
Like,
I kind of want to go back to that franchise tag. So if we tag him, we have to pay him. The team would have to pay him. I think, like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I think it's 70% of the average quarterback salary of the top 10.
it'd be about 40
So
million. It'd be a little over 40 million. I looked it up.
yeah.
It'd be around 40 million. Yep. 1 year, $40 million. I'm cool with it.
So yeah, but that's gonna hurt bad because when you have Nick Cross to resign, you're gonna have Pierce. To resign.
I think let Nick Cross go. I think Pierce is a must resign. I don't think he's going to be that expensive.
Yeah.
I think you let Nick Cross go. I think he could develop another safety. He's not game changing in any way. I like Nick Cross. Don't get me wrong.
My thoughts on this are, I think the longer we wait to sign Alec Pierce, I think it's bad the longer we wait to sign him. I think his development in the last 6 months alone is unbelievable. He's become so much better than he has any of the last 2 years. I think Cross, I'm not sure about. I mean, who else? There's Braden Smith is another one that we have.
He's gonna walk.
I think he's going to walk. He's probably going to walk.
He's walking.
I think at this point, I think Jones and Pierce are must signs.
Yeah.
I don't know if the franchise tag is the right move, specifically because it's so much money. And if even it doesn't have to be a huge deal, but if we could get him on a 3-year, $35 million a year type of deal, I think that's good enough for the team that we have.
Let me pose a hypothetical, because here's the problem, right? You say 40 million's a lot for the 1 year, right? And I do understand it. But number one, we don't have a lot of contracts to renegotiate. It's not like it's going to definitely impair us from re-signing Alec Pierce or I mean, obviously we've included Daniel Jones in that 40 million. And it's the end of the next season that really presents the problem for contracts, which the franchise tag essentially it kind of alleviates that problem, because he's no longer under contract after that year. And then you have free reign to re-sign whoever you want, maybe do a full rebuild, because I think that's where we're essentially heading. I know I'm jumping the gun here, and I think in a later episode I might explore some of the scenarios that I could see happening where either we re-sign Daniel Jones or maybe we do a full rebuild. Whatever happens. I could see a few different scenarios for the Colts to explore, because my belief is your team is never going to be able to sustain itself and compete for long dynastic periods without the franchise quarterback. So And I don't think Daniel Jones is a franchise quarterback. So with that, I do think that there's things to explore as far as blowing it all up within the next 2 years or something and trying all over type of thing. I do think it's a possibility, but I don't want to get into that today. We'll definitely get that in like a later date. But
Mhm.
I don't think like the thing that gets to me though is as far as this season goes is what do we need to see? Like, what has to happen? What has to change for this offense to just get it going? Because again, I don't think it's the play calling. Because the play calling to me has not looked different all
Mhm.
year long, right?
Sh-
And I want to know like what is it like? Does Daniel Jones just have to fit? Because to me, I definitively my stance on this, and I'm putting this on the record, and will hold me accountable if the Colts fire Shane Steichen at the end of this year, and Daniel Jones is still our quarterback, and he has MVP numbers next year. I will bring this clip up. But I think it's Daniel Jones. I think the problem is we have way too low of a floor from the guy that's leading the offense. That's where I'm at with that. But I know you guys want to talk more about the Shane Steichen, the play calling and everything.
mhm.
I have a few decisions that he's made over just this past game, as a matter of fact, just this past
Yeah.
game that
So
we're
I'm
gonna
I'm
talk
gonna
about. Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna bring up John Gruden here because he and I know everybody has their own personal feelings about John Gruden. Uh, but the guy was an offensive mastermind. His thing
I
was
love
if the
Gruden.
run's not working, then we're going to throw. If the passing's not working, they're going to run. I think what really got us in the Pittsburgh game is you got someone like T.J. Watt, and their defense, their front seven is pretty good, and they're seeing everything that they saw everything the Colts did. They're throwing in the first half to score. They're running to win.
Hmm?
Well, if that's all you're doing, that's something pretty easy that teams can key on.
Yeah, you're
Take
saying it's
away
predictable. I
Jonathan
get it.
Taylor.
I can see that.
Yeah, and I think really that's been a lot of the problem. I mean, Houston came in with the number one defense in the league, and you're going to make us throw. Okay, well then we're gonna cover you like honey on a hot day. We're gonna be
All
sticking
right.
on you.
Well, let me ask you both a question then, and we'll start one at a time. We'll start with Ben.
Mhm.
Ben, where do you stand on Shane Steichen being our head coach now and in the indefinite future?
I think I think with the Daniel Jones side, with Daniel Jones, with the Sauce Gardner trade, with everything that's happening in the kind of the cyclone of the season, whatever it's been, I think Jones, Steichen, and Ballard are all intrinsically tied together here. And if we get cut base with one of them, we cut base with all three, just based on everything that you hear from the organization, that you hear from the Ursays, that you hear from local outlets is how
Mhm.
close Steichen and Jones are, how close they work together, and how on the hot seat Chris Ballard was when he came in this season, with the new owner, with new quarterback, with everything. And so my singular thought process on this is that, and the Sauce Gardner trade, I think, kind of exemplifies this is that Chris Ballard is doing whatever he can to win now. And if I don't think he's not getting another chance from Carly Gordon. I think
Mhm.
that this is it. And if this season goes down the shitter and we end up 9-8 and we miss the playoffs, I don't know if all three are gone. But I think Ballard's definitely gone. I think
Oh,
Steichen goes into the next.
dude,
I think Steichen
absolutely.
goes
We
into
missed the
next
playoffs.
season.
Fire everybody.
Yeah.
Get rid of the whole
Yeah.
organization.
And I think my thought process just based on this is that depending on how these next was it 5 games? The way these next
Mhm.
5 games go will determine the next, 2, 3 years of Colts football for me at least.
Okay, but let me get your opinion on Shane Steichen specifically. Like, let's say we'll create this hypothetical. We win maybe 3 out of the next 5 games and we make the playoffs. How do you feel? Do you want Shane back? Are you like let's go Shane? This would be he was 500 record before the start of the season. This is his first time really put us in a position that this would be his first playoff appearance with the Colts. Would you be good with
It
keeping it going with Shane?
Yeah, so that makes us that put if we go that makes us 11-6 with a playoff berth, probably winning the South. Yes, I would keep him back. I think with the potential that he has as an offensive mind and given him another offseason to work with Jones and with all the new guys we
Mhm.
drafted and develop everyone else with Taylor, I would say yes. I would say I've always liked Shane. The fact that
Yeah.
we got 9
Same.
wins out of Gardner Minshew is really almost
Hmm.
just ridiculous to me, and that was his
Yeah.
first year as a coach.
Yep.
I think his offensive ceiling is up there with Kevin O'Connell,
I
McVay,
love Shane. You don't got to
uh,
convince me at all.
Andy Reid.
I'm right there with you.
I
Yeah.
And
think his ceiling is up here, but I think that my issue with him is I think a lot of coaches have this issue. Andy Reid had this issue for a long time, and then he walked into Patrick Mahomes. And when you have a guy like that, it kind of hides a lot of your flaws. And I don't know. I'm sure you guys are older than me, so you probably remember this better. Andy Reid was the world's biggest choker from what 2002 until 2011, 2012. I mean, he was Mr. I'm gonna screw up the clock. I'm gonna screw up the
Mhm.
play calling. I'm gonna screw up this, that, and the other thing. And now here, all of a sudden, he's got his guy. He's got Mahomes. He's got Kelsey, and none of those issues really show up anymore. And I think Steichen is in that kind of vein where
right.
he has some shortcomings as a play caller, and if we get the team around him, he can really be up
Right.
here.
Mhm.
And Jesse, before I get to you, I want to go over these decisions that I have listed here from Shane Steichen from the Texans game. Just so we're aware of the kind of heat he's under from Colts fans. And because, at least for me and Ben, we're both Team Shane. Extend Shane. We don't think Shane is the problem. But I do want to give credence to the argument that Colts fans are having where Shane Steichen has really screwed the pooch. Right? And
Mhm.
obviously he had a lot of bad decisions last game, but we've discussed those already. As far as this game, instead of kicking the field goal from the Texans' 9-yard line when it's 3-0 and we had three straight, well, I think it was 2 out of 3 3-and-outs. One, we got one first down and then we punted. It was an
Yep.
18-yard drive and we punted. And there was like 10 minutes to go in the first half. I believe it was like second quarter. It was 10 minutes to go in the first half. And we could have just made it 3-3. It was the closest we got the entire game. And he decided, well, let's go for it. And we don't get it. As I mentioned earlier, we were 0 for 2 on fourth down. That's a big one.
It's not even the go for it. It's the weird play call of having
The Tyler Warren,
run
yeah.
in motion
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
ride up under
Yeah,
one of
and
the
he mentioned that he was like, "Oh, this injury is not going to impact our play calling." And all of a sudden, you see a play that I don't think we've seen all year. Like we've seen Tyler Warren take a snap, but not in the way where he like they create this quick little motion to get him under center and then take the snap and then he fumbles the ball. And it's just not something we've seen a lot, and it feels
it's
odd timing of the call.
that whole thing was just unbelievable.
Agreed.
And why one? You got down to super fast. Like you could have you could have done a jet sweep on that.
Oh no, I wouldn't want to
I
do a
just
jet sweep on a fourth and short. I would hate that, but I wouldn't mind seeing a Daniel Jones run, a JT run, like a normal play, even a
yeah.
fullback run for Tyler Warren because we've worked that in before as well. But it's not the play call to me wasn't even really the problem. I find it a little odd, and I think it's more coincidental timing than anything. Like I believe this play has been in their playbook. They've practiced this many times. They've done this, and they've wanted this to be a short yardage situation play they brought out. I don't have any doubts about that. So I'm not like extreme. It is a little weird because of the timing when they say we're not going to change the way we call plays, and all of a sudden throw in this play we have never really seen. But it's just a decision in and of itself because you just have the chance to tie the game there. A three-pointer clearly would have been massive for us in that situation. I know we have the foresight, or the hindsight, I should say, of that. I think he has to move with a little bit more foresight. And instead of going super aggro offense, which our offense was super stagnant up until that point. The next
I'm gonna
decision.
get really right. I'm gonna get really right in here quick. So because I
Mhm.
really like Shane and the aggressive. I like that he's a little aggressive
I
every
love it.
now and then. I'm just gonna put this on the floor right here. I'm gonna take my AirPod out and yell directly into the microphone. I'm gonna get really close to the camera here, and I'm just gonna say, "Take the points."
Listen, I'm right there with you. I
Yes.
love aggression too, and I actually complained that the last game, I think it was against the Chiefs, we didn't go for a single fourth down. Like it was insane to me that was the game. Yeah, we talked about this.
That was
We talked
weird.
about taking delay of games and punting rather than going for it on fourth and short in Kansas City territory. So like, there's times where I hate when he doesn't go for it, and times when I hate when he does. And I think it's give and take, but that's just one of the decisions. So I don't want to lurk on it for too long. But that was one of the decisions that I felt was like pretty questionable. The other one was I don't want to say it was this. I mean, this obviously isn't on Shane Steichen. The other thing I listed, I don't even know why I listed it here, was the Badgley extra point miss. which led to us being down 4, not 3, and us having to convert a 4th and long, in which I feel like we're drawing up plays that are getting us nowhere. In these 4th and long situations. I know we're not used to 4th and long situations, but I just feel like we have no clue what we're doing in those scenarios. And it just generally, that falls on the coach at the end of the day. Even though it comes to a badly missed extra point, it still kind of falls on the coach on how you handled the rest of the game. Because we go back to that field goal that we didn't kick early on, and it's like, damn, if we would have kicked that, this looks very different. Now that badly extra point maybe doesn't look as bad. I think that's why I kind of put it in there. Obviously, again, this is hindsight, so he doesn't see these things. But again, when you had 3 straight drives completely stall out and you finally get into territory to score, you do what Ben screamed in the mic about, you take the points. So with that, Jesse, I bring on the question to you. I would like to know your feelings. Do you think, I think regardless of, I think as of right now, how do you feel? And maybe if you want to throw in a hypothetical, whether we make or don't make the playoffs, you can. How do you feel about Shane Steichen coaching for a 4th season in Indianapolis?
I think Shane is going to come back regardless, and the reason why.
Are you happy about that?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
happy.
so
about
we're all
it.
Team Shane.
And because I've always been Team Shane. The thing about Shane is that he's never, in his tenure in Indianapolis, he hasn't had a consistent quarterback. You had Minshew your first. You had AR your first year. He goes out the 4th. He goes out after 4 games. You have Minshew. The team rallies around Minshew. All of a sudden, you're like a drop pass away from a backup tight end from converting on 4th and 1 to possibly win the game and get into the playoffs against the Texans. So his first season ended. It ended better than I thought it was because let's be honest, I wanted Frank Reich gone after that Matt Ryan season. I was just like, the first year with Andrew Luck, Frank Reich was good. Like,
Yeah, it's not hard to be good with Andrew Luck.
I was gonna say, let me back up on that. Andrew Luck with just like Chuck Pagano, and just with Chuck Pagano, he really masked a lot of what was wrong with the team, and he really masked a lot of what Frank's play calling was. Yes, I understand Frank had won a Super Bowl with the Eagles the year before with Doug Peterson, but Doug Peterson really was the one making a lot of those calls. So, and it kind of reminds me a lot with Shane. I like Shane. I think Shane's a great offensive mind. I think he's a good coach. And I'm happy he's going to come back because he's finally going to have a consistent quarterback. You had what we thought Daniel Jones is what we thought Anthony Richardson was going to be in this offense until the
Yep,
last
I can
3
see that.
games, and I'm happy. Now Ballard, on the other hand, that is a different story. I know Carly had came out earlier this season and said that if something, and I can't remember the exact quote, but it's something along the lines of we're going to evaluate everything, and we're going to. It was you have this season to get your shit together. If you don't get it together, you're out.
Yeah, I think
And I
generally
think,
anytime an owner says we're gonna evaluate everything,
yeah,
you could kind of expect some kind of front office change or staffing change.
yeah,
That's
and
generally to be expected.
yeah, and with Earth and with Jim, I think Ballard, because let's be honest, Jim. I hate saying this, but Jim kind of set this franchise back a while for years with some of the decisions that he made, and extending Ballard was one of those because in what 8 that Ballard's been here, you win 1 playoff game with Andrew Luck, you get to the playoffs with Philip Rivers, and then you have that
We
collapse
should have beat the
in
Bills.
21
We
with
should have beat
Carson
the
Wentz.
Bills. Yeah, and then we collapsed with them.
Yeah,
But hold on.
yeah.
Let's be fair. I want to be fair because I'm a Chris Ballard guy. I know another hot
Mhm.
take. And the reason I brought up the Shane thing is because we're different. A lot of Colts fans, increasingly so, and we're on the Reddit.
Mhm.
We see how it's going on Reddit, guys. We know this. They are
Yeah,
turning on Shane, and it is starting to avalanche on him. And I don't like
they
that.
did
I want to
last year.
fight the argument. Yeah, I know they did it last year, but again, I just don't think that when you don't have the quarterback, I don't
Mhm.
want to put that much blame. Like, he did a pretty decent, like you said earlier, he did a pretty good job with a guy that doesn't look like he belongs in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like Anthony Richardson just doesn't look like he belongs in the NFL right now. And I'm not saying he can't develop into an NFL starting caliber quarterback. I don't like to make that judgment before a player even gets a full season. He hasn't had a single full season yet. He had 11
Yeah.
games was the most he played was last year, 11 games. So I don't want to put that on him yet, that title on him yet. Say he's a bust, but it doesn't look good from the coaching standpoint. Maybe you could say like, all right, he's not developing the quarterback or whatever, but Daniel Jones comes in, he does really good. So I'm Team Shane, and I'm also Team Ballard because this success doesn't happen without the foundation being laid out. He laid out every brick. I mean, this entire team is a Chris Ballard team for the most part. Actually, I think the entire team is Chris Ballard, right?
For the most part, yeah, for the most part.
I know. I
So
think I don't even think for the most part. I think legitimately so it's the entire team. Like, think about it. Who on this team isn't a Chris Ballard guy? And we love this roster. Like, what position group do you look at and you're like, I hate it? Maybe the linebacker group that we'll get into in a little bit later. But like, other than that, like, what part of this group do you look at like this isn't built well? I don't see any. So I love Ballard.
Yeah, but the thing about Ballard, like I said, there was my issues with Ballard was he didn't address the QB position until Carly came into it and said, you gotta get this together." Because he had chance after chance after Philip Rivers. I know that um, Jordan Love was the guy who was linked to the Colts. Obviously,
Brother,
the
I
Packers
wanted Jordan Love more than
Yeah,
oxygen. Oh my
that's what I'm
God. I
saying.
wish I had my
So
brother with me to talk to you guys because I would tell him every day Jordan Love is going to be a Colt. And I was like, Andrew Luck is going to be with us and he's going to help develop Jordan Love and he's going to be a Colt
yeah,
and he's going to be the greatest Colt of all time. And I love Jordan Love.
yeah,
I've lost the love for him. I don't think he's as good as I thought he was. He looked really good at times and then there's other times where I'm iffy. But yeah, you're right about that. But I think we're having
so
I think we're recreating history a little bit though, because I don't think that we really genuinely loved any of these quarterback prospects that we were really looking to get without trading a whole bunch to get them.
so
At the
I'm
time, I
so
don't
I was gonna
remember
say
that.
another quarterback that wanted no two. Let me give it two. Two quarterbacks that wanted to come to Indianapolis. I don't think it was a good time. I don't think it would have been a good idea for them to be here. One was Matt Stafford, and Ballard didn't want to give up another draft pick from Detroit to get him. And then there was the whole situation with Baker. There's a weird situation with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. He wanted to come to Indianapolis.
Mhm.
For some reason, we decided to get Matt Ryan. And so my thing with Ballard is I thought Carson Wentz in 21 had a good season. It wasn't the best. Let's be completely honest. And Carson Wentz was Carson Wentz, but I think he didn't have a receiving core. I mean, who is his number one guy? Pitt, right?
Yeah,
His second leading receiver that year was Zach Pascal at like
Pascal. Loves
600.
Pascal.
Yeah, but the guy only had 600 something yards, and
But I
then
loved
Paris
him, man.
Campbell, who was
Big
oh
body.
he was yeah when he was on the
I love
field he
Zach,
was good,
yeah.
and then you had Paris Campbell, who when
Oof,
he was
PC
healthy
was
he was
that man too. I know he
awesome
was awesome when he was healthy. I wish his
when he
career
was
went out a
healthy,
little differently.
but Ballard didn't do anything to address that wide receiver position.
I
And the
don't
same
know.
thing with that. Oh, hold on. Same thing with the left tackle position when you had Eric Fisher. You had a guy, and I can't remember his name, who ended up signing with the Commanders, who begged to come to Indianapolis, ended up having an all pro season. I don't know what happened with him since then, but he ended up having an all pro season with the Commanders, or was it the Washington football team at the time? I think it was the Commanders.
Washington football team is a
Yeah,
better name to remember them by anyway.
yeah. And he had an all pro season, but he was begging to come to Indianapolis. And we ended up going with Eric Fisher, who was a guy that Ballard had helped draft in Kansas City.
Well, now
So
that
some of
this
this,
listen, now that this turned into the trial of Chris Ballard, let's Ben. I want to at least hear from Ben now because it's been a minute since I heard from Ben. Ben, trial of Chris Ballard. How are you feeling as far as Chris Ballard being the GM of the Indianapolis Colts in 2026?
You know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna be completely honest here. I love Chris Ballard.
Yes.
I'm, I think that Ballard.
2-1.
I think a lot of the things that have gone wrong under Chris Ballard's tenure have been circumstantial or out of his control.
Not
The
guilty.
Wentz thing. I think the
Well,
Wentz thing. He got pressured by Reich at first to get him, and then when it didn't work out, I think Irsay kind of strong armed him into getting rid of him. I thought the Matt Ryan signing at the time was awesome, and I think that Baker Mayfield thing is completely revisionist history because we all thought he was done when he was finished
That's what
in
yeah,
Carolina.
it's
He was
tough to see a
we all
world where
thought
we
he
would have
was
agreed in the moment. I agree completely. Like at the time,
I
we
think
saw flashes,
if
yeah.
but we're like, there are still maturity issues. We weren't sure what he was gonna be.
if you put Baker in Indy when our team was the way that it was, and that was the year
Well, and that's true
the
too.
year
That was the
my thought on I think Chris Ballard does have a lot of shortcomings as a GM. I think he isn't as aggressive as he's needed to be in the past. And my one thing about Chris Ballard though is that man can draft in the second and third and fourth
Woo! I love it.
rounds.
Hey,
but
listen, he
when you're
My
builds it
not
brick
like
by brick,
yeah, but
brick
when you're not hitting in
by
the first round,
brick.
how can
We
you
don't
have
have
more
two first round
misses?
picks. It's okay. We don't have two first round picks. At least let him run the draft for the next 2 years. But we don't have a first. like, let the guy that's good at
there's
the mid
just
round
think of that.
do
Yeah.
that. This
I
is the
mean,
Yeah,
perfect time to keep him.
yeah. So I don't know. I think my opinion on Chris Ballard is that he has I think changed for the better. I think the Carly coming in really kind of put a lit of fire under him. I love that we traded for Gardner because it's so different than what we've done in the past. I I'm hesitant to let go of Ballard because I don't know where we go from there. If we bring in a new GM, I guess what would you have him do differently? Like without the benefit of hindsight, can we
Nah,
yeah.
I don't
say
think it's
that
worth it
any
even
of
to
these
think
calls
about,
that
to be
Chris
honest.
Ballard has made have been objectively bad? And I don't think we can say
I
that.
think until
So
there's more rumors and more validation in the idea that Chris Ballard's not gonna be the GM, because we're reading into hinted conversation, subtleties from Carly or
yeah,
Goring that's saying that we're assuming means he's on the hot seat, which I don't think there's a lot of credence to that sentiment. I just don't think that there's a lot of weight to that yet. And until then, I don't think that there's much of a point in even thinking about, oh, what would another GM do yet? Until we at least get to the point where it's like, it's a possibility. Because right now,
I
I
agree.
don't see it being a
yeah.
possibility. I don't even think it's a good idea at all. Again, just because at least 2-1, we've won the trial here, and Chris Ballard is not guilty officially, as well as Shane Steichen. We should run it back next year. Um,
I don't hate Ballard. But the thing about Ballard is that it took him this time to. I know he put the team together, and Shane has been waiting for a quarterback to run his offense.
mhm.
So at the beginning of the year, I was like, you know what? Let's just go out and get Drew Alar or somebody like that. Since we
You're
got,
at Nutsmeyer, Arch Manning, one of those
yeah,
guys
so yeah,
Arch.
yeah, because yeah,
they're all just bad now. Like
Yeah, I
yeah.
know, but he's gonna get another year.
even
I still have faith in
Mendoza.
Arch. I still have faith in Arch.
You guys want
So with
Mendoza?
Ballard,
Jesus.
I never would even thought Mendoza would be the way he is now. Like for real, like just to kind of get off topic here. At the beginning of the year, I thought it was either going to be Alar, Kludnik, or Nussmeier was going to be like the Heisman favorites, and I was like one of those guys is going to be a Colt. But now that the team started winning, and I kind of just want to go back and say now that the team's winning, a lot of fans who like myself in the beginning was like fire Ballard. You guys are right. He's the team's winning with a quarterback who can run this offense the way it was supposed to be ran. So a lot of winning forgives a lot of the bad decisions in the past years. So
So
um,
I want to wrap up the conversation here just so we can move on along a little bit more here. So now we're gonna put some other people on trial that we can't fire. Let's talk about the officiating. We're gonna start with I want to hear Ben first on the officiating, what his stance. I want to hear both of your stances before I give my stance on the officiating here, the refereeing, because it's been the topic of conversation on all the internet right now. Everyone's talking about the officiating was awful, the officiating was this, the officiating was that. So let's get into the conversation. Ben, tell me, did you love the refs or did you hate them?
when I was in high school and I was a wrestler in high school and I had a coach and I lost a match one time because I thought I should have gotten a points for a takedown that I didn't get, and I was complaining to the coach afterwards, and he looked at me and he said, if the game was close enough to be decided by the referee, did you really deserve to win? And I really like that saying because I really think it kind of supports a lot of what sports are about. And so for a lot of my life, I've always thought that complaining about referees is, yes, sometimes you do get screwed, but a lot of the time, like, did you really deserve to win that one? In this case, however, I really I'm really having a tough time with this one. The extra point that didn't go through, the PI with the delay of
Hmm.
game, just the missed face mask. It eats me up. And here's another thing, kind of a similar ref thing here. We have chips in the ball. We know where the ball is at all times. Why are we still relying on 75-year-old men spotting maybe his knee was down right here? The officiating was just plain awful, and I
Hmm.
don't want to put the loss entirely on the officials because our offense really, really kind of disappointed me for a lot of that game. But it is a lot harder to win when those calls are going against you the way they were on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of blaming the refs for losses either. Jesse, let's hear from you, man. What do we? How do you feel? You love them, you hate them. What's the call that
I,
sticks out to you the most? I think we all know the one, but go ahead and give me your take here.
and I'm kind of the same boat. That's tough because I always, when I played football myself, I was always told to not complain, and just keep the game the way it is because the refs have to be fair. But let's be honest, like I'm not blaming the loss entirely on the Colts or on the refs because when you don't convert on a third down till like the middle of the third quarter, something's obviously wrong. But with that being said, it feels like, and I'm not trying to go all conspiracy theorist here, but with sports betting, I think sports betting has really ruined a lot of how games are played. And I'm not saying that refs are part of that or whatever, but there's in other leagues, in other sports like the NBA, there was a referee who did come out and say, "Yeah, we bet against games." Do I think that's happening? I'm not really sure. I can't say yes or no. I know it happened with one of our players, on the games. But I think there's something with the refs because it's not us, not just us. Let's look at that Cleveland game
Wait,
from 2 years
are you talking
ago.
about Isaiah Rodgers?
Yes,
Did he bet on any of our games? I don't think he bet on our games.
yeah,
He did. It was on
yeah,
our
Yeah,
games.
he was betting.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's a
he was
dog.
betting
I
on
love
Colts
I love
games.
Isaiah
yeah.
Rodgers. Bring him back. Bring him back. I'm cool with it, man. Let him go. He served
He
his
only bet
time.
on us to
Bring
win.
him
He only
back.
Yeah.
bet on us to
I
win.
know
I
that's my
remember that.
dog.
You only
Listen,
bet on us to
my
win.
brother's an
You
Eagles
bet on
fan.
yourself.
My brother's an
Yeah.
Eagles fan, and when they went to Philly, I texted my brother and me, I was like, "You guys got a dog. Don't let him go." And then they let him go, and he was like, "Guess we lost the dog." And now look at him in Minnesota. My brother texted me, and he's like, "Dude, Isaiah Rodgers is a dog. He's one of them ones. I
Well,
love Isaiah, man. Shout out to Isaiah
there's something
Rodgers."
going on with the refs. I mean, like I said, going back to that Cleveland game 2 years ago, the Colts had won that game like three times. And then there was PJ Walker throwing, and then Kenny Moore got called on a DPI, and then there was a roughing the passer from DeForest Buckner whenever he made the game-winning sack, and then there was something else, and then they ran the ball with Nick Chubb and they won, game over.
You
But
know,
it's obviously
the thing is,
okay.
and here's my thing about the refereeing, right? I don't blame the refs because I don't think they were just terrible in favor of us. Like the pass interference that essentially led us to a touchdown, the one that they called for
Mhm.
Alec Pierce, was an awful call. That was an
It
awful
was.
call on the pass interference. The fumble for Josh Downs that they said was incomplete. I thought it was pretty close. I thought that might have been a fumble. Like I was on the side that looked like a fumble to me, and I was almost
Mhm.
sure that was going to be ruled a fumble. and they give it an incomplete pass, and I thought that was a bad call. I also don't think the extra point is as crazy as people make it seem. I know what the view, because I was really upset at the view at the time. And the more I looked
Yeah.
at it, the more I realized, like, that thing is over the bar. That's a difficult one, in or out. And I get it was closer to out than it was in, and it has to be completely in, I think, is the rule, right? It has to be completely within the uprights to be good. If it goes
Yeah.
over the upright, is it good?
No, it shouldn't be.
I
'Cause I
actually,
don't
I think,
remember.
I think it is. I think it is. I think it is good if it goes over.
I don't
But
know. I don't know if
regardless,
it is, but
regardless,
it is.
I do like what Ben said earlier about, you could track these things, and I made a little gesture where I was like looking up in the sky and put my arms up just because I was confused. And I said, it's good, whatever, it's good. I just don't think that's an egregious call. Like a lot of Colts fans are using that word a lot. And then there was obviously the PI on Kenny Moore, which was just awful, as well as a delay of game.
Yeah.
But the delay of game, Colts fans are making way too big of a deal of that. It was like a second
Oh.
off, and I think that like we've seen way worse. Like we as a football fans that have watched this sport for a long time, that is so effing common. We've seen that millions of times, and it's just this position it was in. But regardless, it meant nothing because like we still stopped the play. It was really the DPI we should be upset about. And again, I don't think it was an egregious missed call because we get the benefit of slow motion. If you look at it, there's a little bit of hand grabbing and the guy falls. You put two and two together in full speed, it looks like a little bit like Kenny Moore had something to do with him falling. We see from the replay it didn't, but I don't think those were crazy plays. I think it's lowbrow. I think Colts fans, we need to get a grip. We have to have some shame here, and we can't let the whole we got outplayed. The Texans completely and utterly outplayed us, and we just have to be better. I don't think it was a refereeing-ish situation, but I say that to also say that you are right about the gambling stuff. I actually was just on a podcast with a buddy of mine. He does something called the DUUUVAALLLL podcast. Check it out on YouTube. That's a free plug for my mans. And me and my brother were on there just Sunday before the game. And I was literally talking about it. It was like my closing statement on that podcast episode. I said, we are in an era where we're starting to normalize where these things where we're talking about Vegas moving these odds because they know something and they're doing this. And we're just kind of okay with it. We're just trying to understand why they're doing it so we can make money off of it. And that's what it is. I don't gamble myself, but I know that that's a large percentage now of sports fans are gambling. It's just an epidemic in this country now. And I do believe that there's got to be something to it, but I just love the sport too much to allow myself to fully accept that and not be as emotional as I am about the games and be like, it's fixed. I can't just do that. I still will always go back to, no, the players have to be better. They have to compete regardless of the play, of the officiating. And again, I don't think, just like I said with the Chiefs game, and I know a lot of Colts fans hated when I said that about the Chiefs game, I thought the refs were awful in the Chiefs game for both sides. Like, they were missing and throwing bad flags all game for either side. And in this scenario, the Texans were called for more penalties than the Colts and more penalty yards. It's like they worked in our favor for the most part.
Yeah, and the thing about the refs is that the refs have always been bad, and they're going to continue to be bad no matter what. As a fan base, we're very fickle. 1 minute we love Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard, Daniel Jones. The next minute we're wishing death upon them. And I'm going to be honest. Sometimes it's a cesspool of fans. That we lost 2 games in a row. It's the end of the world. Buffalo got destroyed by Miami, and they're still a Super Bowl. They're still a contender.
Dude,
I
you know
think
what?
because
I hate the fans that hate the emotional fans. I love the emotional fans. Let's be emotional. Let's overreact to everything. I love the passion and the emotion. I do think there's a place to get more reasonable and like sit down like, okay, it's not the end of the world. Let's talk it out and go over it. But I also really do love the overreactions because it's who we are as fans. It shows the passion we have and how badly we want to win. And I love that about fans.
I was watching it at home, and like in the moment of on the 2nd and 9 after the missed FaceTime when we threw the fade to Alec Pierce at like the corner right in front of the end zone. It was incomplete. I literally went to my knees and I was like, why on earth we just throw that on 2nd and 9, and now it's
You
39,
mentioned
and
that
we're
in the
gonna get
Discord.
nowhere.
Yep, you definitely mentioned that in the Discord.
On my knees after that happened.
I don't
Like,
mind that.
Yeah.
Throw the ball. I love. Listen, that's one of the few times I don't hate Daniel Jones. The one of the few times I don't hate Daniel Jones is when he's throwing that ball in the air and it's Alec Pierce on the other side or Josh Downs on the other side. I get excited.
Yeah.
I love
Like,
those plays.
it's just it's in those specific, like, yes, rationally you look back afterwards and you think, yeah, maybe I was overreacting a little bit, but in that moment, and I know like it's different for all of us, like in that moment I was so angry that we just did that. And like obviously you're happy about those kind of plays, but like that's again, yeah, it's fan is
Yeah.
short for fanatic. Like that's what we are. You're irrational and you yell and you're angry.
I remember I cursed Peyton Manning, like, whenever it was I think it was '08 against the Chargers when they went to San Diego and they just got ran over, and Peyton Manning threw, like, 6 interceptions. I said, "I better not ever see Peyton Manning in a Colts uniform again. Good God, what is wrong with this guy?"
That is not something you should probably be admitting on camera. But I like that you're taking accountability for it, dude. I love that. Accountability point for you, Jesse, because dude, I would die with that. I'm going to take your lead on this, and I'm going to tell you guys a little, it's not really a secret, because I tell all my friends about this. It's just funny to look back on. You know what it's crazy? I was genuinely upset when we drafted Jonathan Taylor. And it's only because of how much I loved Marlon Mack and how little I even knew about Jonathan Taylor.
Oh my God,
But I
Marlon
was
Mack.
genuinely upset about that. I wanted an edge rusher more than anything. And we drafted Jonathan Taylor. And obviously, I looked very stupid about this. So here's my accountability point for taking this accountability. I was very wrong about Jonathan Taylor. But it's not like it was an indictment on JT. I didn't think he was the bad pick. I thought it was picking a running back over the edge rusher is what got me upset. I had no idea the man ran for over 6K in 3 seasons in Wisconsin. I had no idea who it was that we just drafted.
I was gonna
I
say,
mean,
let's
yeah,
be fair. Oh,
go ahead.
Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, I was gonna say, let's be fair. Jonathan Taylor coming out of Wisconsin, one of the big issues on
Generational.
him was, yeah, yeah, because the kind of like Derrick Henry at Alabama, he ran like 2,000 yards like every season. But the thing with Jonathan Taylor, the thing was that was the big knock on him was not being able to hold on to the ball. Because I think his sophomore year, I think he led the nation in fumbles or something at the time.
He had a lot
So
of fumbles in college.
yeah, yeah, I was pretty. For some reason, I was not happy when we drafted Quiddy Pay. I don't know why. Like I thought there was better edge rushers, and I was like, I'm gonna give the guy a chance. I give him a chance. He's not bad, but he's not like Leatu Latu has been. I think he's been. I think he's outplayed him personally, but
I think, but yeah, that's the thing. You never know how things are going to go. I'm sure you guys have all heard the playoffs on with Jim Mora. The
mm,
playoffs. He's talking about playoffs.
playoffs,
He's talking about
playoffs,
Peyton Manning in that interview. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Peyton Manning. He's like, well, yeah, we threw. You're not going to win a damn game if you turn the ball over 5 times. He's talking about Peyton Manning in that clip. Like
Yeah.
it really
Listen,
sports fans are
I'm actually glad
irrational
you
when
brought
they
that
yell.
up. I'm glad you brought that up because that was actually literally the label that I put for this next topic is playoffs with exclamation.
Playoffs.
All right.
Talk about
So
playoffs.
we are currently the
Playoffs.
6th seed in the AFC, second in the AFC South. Record is tied with the Jaguars. We have not played the Jaguars yet. However, they have taken the lead with their conference record, I believe, is what gives them the lead in the division. So currently 6th seed. The Bills are the 7th seed. I believe Bills are 8-4 as well. And the Texans are 8th seed. They're a game behind actually, yeah, they're 1 game behind us now. The Steelers are 9th and Kansas City is 10th. All of them within 2 or so wins, 2 to 3 wins from catching up to us and taking away a wild card spot if that is to come to it. So my question is for you guys: we have at Jacksonville, at Seattle, hosting the Texans, hosting Jacksonville, and finishing in Houston. What do you see our record being at the end of this season? We'll start with Jesse. What do you see our record being at the end of this year? Do you think we make the playoffs? I was going to go into, like, we're going to each have our predictions about how each team's last 5 games are going to go to see how we can make the playoffs, but that's just going to take too long at this point. We've extended long enough here, so we want to move along with the last few topics here. So go ahead, playoff prediction.
Oh, I think Colts go to 11-6. I think they
That's
beat
fine.
Jacksonville.
In Jacksonville?
I think they beat Jacksonville, And the reason I say that because I never thought for 1 minute that we were going to win our home opener, but we did that, and we did it in
Mhm.
a dominant fashion.
Sure.
Is it the same team? Is this team going to be the same team from week one? No, but I think the back's against the wall. You've got Jacksonville. Jacksonville's been kind of on fire. I think they go into Jacksonville. I think they win in Jacksonville. I think I think they win in Seattle. It's a tough town. It's a tough town. I think they win in Seattle because kind of gonna go back on history here.
Right off two straight.
Last year with Minnesota, Sam Darnold kind of had a little bit of a collapse towards the end of the season. I think we're seeing. I think we're going to see that again. The guy just threw like 5 interceptions in one game. They still won
Yep.
in spite of that. I think they. I think they lose in Houston, and I hate saying that.
Oh,
And
dropping two to Houston.
I think they do. Houston's hot. Houston's hot. They got the number one offense or
Okay.
defense. The only thing I could see if they beat Houston is if they make CJ Stroud play outside of his comfort level. Because
I don't
that's what they
know
were doing with
if that happens though, and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, maybe we don't. Well, I don't expect anyone to just know this off the top of their head.
Mhm.
I think if Houston wins two straight against us, or wins both of those games against us, and they don't have a tough schedule outside of maybe the
Mhm.
Chiefs left, I think,
Yeah.
and us. So if they beat us both times, I think that keeps us from the playoffs, even at 11-6. I think that might keep us out of the playoffs, depending on how Jacksonville does. But like we're starting
Yeah.
to limit our opportunities there. If we lose, I mean, you say we're going to beat Jacksonville, so that's a pretty good. Do you think we're going to win both games against Jacksonville?
I think we win both games against Jacksonville.
Okay, so then
I
that's going to be
think
how we get it.
yeah.
That would be how we
Yeah.
get it.
I think
Okay.
that's how we get in because I think we beat Jacksonville in both games and then beat I think we beat the Niners
Okay. So that's your
because then
path to
I
the playoffs. So 11-6
yeah.
generally is the path to the playoffs. You think we beat the Seahawks, we beat Jacksonville twice, we'll still lose to Houston,
Mhm.
we'll lose to San Fran. Ben, talk to me, man. How do you see the season playing out? Do you think we make it to the playoffs? What do you think our record is over this next 5 game stretch?
18-4.
Oh, oh, for winning it
Oh,
all, baby.
oh, I love it.
No.
I don't back it out. Don't back down now. We can. It's possible. Stand
No,
on business.
you know what? You're right. You're right. You're
Stand
right.
on business.
Trevor Lawrence is literally just Trevor. Who did Trevor Lawrence get compared to the other day that I saw that just cracked me up? He's who's he look? Oh, the quarterback that makes it. Trevor Lawrence is just Jameis Winston in a little taller Jameis Winston.
Nice
The
white blonde
Seahawks.
Jameis Winston.
Yeah,
There.
exactly. The Niners always fall apart at the end due to injuries. CJ Stroud has the lowest Wonderlic score of any quarterback ever. He's gonna fall apart.
The
13 and
Wonderlick, what
4.
evidence of that? Listen, I like the optimism. I don't share it, unfortunately. And we're gonna transition into Jacksonville in a second here. That's the next game, and we're gonna finish the podcast up with that. Um, I think we're losing to Jacksonville in Jacksonville. I think we're losing to Seattle in Seattle. I think we rattle off 3 straight after that to finish our season. And I think our fate lies in the hands of the rest of the league. However the cards fall, however they may fall. I'm an idiot with idioms, so I must have messed that up. But wherever the cards land, I don't know what the idiom is, but whatever happens is gonna happen. I think this offense looks so stagnant. It looks so stale. I know the problems are fixable. And listen, I'm going to stand by what I said. And like the reason why I didn't let you back off on your original stance was I do believe we can beat anyone. We have the talent. We have the players to beat anybody. But we cannot keep playing the way we have been playing for the last 4 weeks. It's been bad. It's been awful. The offense has been a complete 180 from what it was at the beginning of the season. We can't stay on the field to save our lives. It's going to be a difficult one. I literally wrote down some things. I said, Trevor Lawrence sucks, but that doesn't mean much because I don't think he needs to do all that much to beat us. Their defense is loaded. I know they're hurt, and we'll see who comes back. I know Josh Hines, Allen, Devin Lloyd, and Antonio Johnson are healthy. I know Trayvon Walker has a knee, and at this point, what I last heard from Coach Cohen was that at this point the only thing keeping him off the field is pain. So I think it's going to be manageable, and I think we do see Trayvon Walker, who is an absolute dog. And then Eric Armstead, I don't know if he makes it. I know Trayvon Walker missed the last 2 games. Eric Armstead only missed last game, so I don't know what the hand injury is, how the depth of that. So he might return. If he returns, they're absolutely loaded on that defensive front. And you see how we handle loaded defensive fronts. It's not a good scene for us. And I do want to reference a player's comment about our 10-year drought on beating the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. Been a decade, maybe over a decade, is it? Are we in the 11th year? I
thought it was like 11 or 12. But
it's
been
a
long
decade.
time.
It's a decade
long time.
plus. A decade plus of us not being able to beat the Little Brothers. I'm gonna play a short audio clip from you guys, and then we're gonna discuss this player. It's Zaire Franklin, and things have to be mentioned about him because this is another hot topic on the Colts subreddit, and Colts fans around have talked very angrily about Zaire Franklin. So this is Zaire Franklin being asked about the history behind the Jacksonville Jaguars games in Jacksonville.
You know, we just at this point, this is where we're going to figure out the type of guys we got in this locker room, type of team we want to be this season. So just got to get back, lock in and focus and be better.
There's always a sense of urgency late in the season, but knowing what the division standings are, how do you guys kind of turn that around?
I'll be honest with you, I feel like every game this season we've had extreme sense of urgency. Like every game to me has felt like the most important game of the season. So I wouldn't really, obviously division games count double. Disappointed that we lost one at home, especially. This one hurts. This one hurts. But we're going to continue to focus in. We got a big game on the road next week.
That game next week, we know the history down there. How much you guys using that as motivation? Not that you guys need it.
Yeah, I don't care about no history. It don't matter nothing to me. This is a brand new team. That's a brand new team. I don't care about nothing that ever happened down there. I'm looking forward to seeing them on the field on Sunday. I don't care about none of that.
How much?
I cannot express just how much that answer pissed me off. Because I understand why you would want to say that. Like, as a player, I get it. It doesn't matter. We're going to go in. We're going to do our game plan. We're going to do that. However, this is a captain of our defense. A player who has been with us for 8 years of this decade plus long drought. You have never in your career beaten this division rival in Jacksonville. How do you not care? Like, my whole thing with this was I have championed for Zaire Franklin. I think he's awesome. I know he's a liability in coverage. I know he hasn't looked his greatest this year, especially with tackling and stuff, and I think Jermaine Pratt has looked a lot better. I don't think it's feasible for us to replace him right now, maybe in the offseason, but as of right now, like, Colts fans are asking to get him off the field. I don't think that's a feasible thing. He's literally a green dot guy. I don't think it makes sense. He's the vocal leader. He's a locker room guy. You can't just bench a captain just like that. It doesn't help us in any way, shape, or form to put him on the bench or anything like that, like a lot of Colts fans want to see. But now I'm starting to backtrack a little bit after hearing that answer. Because what the hell do you mean it doesn't matter? Can you talk like a Colt? Like you've been a Colt your whole career. Can you act like a Colt? Because what do you mean? The longest drought we've had against any division rival in our history doesn't matter? That is absolutely absurd to me. Ben, I'm going to start with you, brother. Ben, talk to me, man. First of all, where do you stand on Zaire Franklin and his position with the Colts, and how do you feel about those comments that he made?
Like Zaire. I do like Zaire a lot. I mean, I like his tackling. He has obviously struggled in coverage this year, and I agree that
awful in
a lot of the
coverage.
comments he's made off the field have been very irritating, especially when he's getting burned in coverage by the.
That's
people
oddly
that
the
he's
reason I
forcing
love him,
off
to
the
be honest
field.
with you. It's oddly the reason I love him. I
And, like,
love
that's
those
fine,
things.
I know he's gonna talk. I think what he said. With what he said, I don't say that I agree, but I feel the spirit of what he's trying to say. And this, I think Jesse said something similar earlier, is that if this team is the team that we think it is, and we think this team has a chance They're gonna go into Jacksonville and we haven't won the first game of a season in years. We haven't won in Jacksonville years. If this team is different than all those other teams, they're gonna go in and win. And
Yep.
that can really help us. I think the way he said it, I agree, really rubs you the wrong way. Like it really, that's not exactly. The sentiment I think is there. The way that he said it, I think was really poor and comes off like
It
as
is. I know it's like, dude, it's such a big deal to all of us. Like, we would have loved to hear some fire. Like, dude, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. Like, we're gonna get this win. Colts Nation, we got you. This is unacceptable. We're gonna smoke them over there. Like, I know you don't want to light fire or poke the bear, if you will, but like, the Jaguars are hardly the bear. You know what I mean? Like, you can do a little fire, and it's not unusual to him to talk trash about an opposing team or anything. So, like, I just wanted to see some fire, man. Jesse, tell me about the lack of fire. Talk to me about it. How do you feel about Zaire's performance and this just awful answer?
He's not Darius Leonard.
He's not. No, I agree. I mean, that's hard to be a guy like Darius Leonard. I wish we had him back. Shaq Leonard.
Or Bobby Okereke.
I like Bobby Okereke a lot, but I think
lighting it up, and he's lighting it up in New York. He's
doing well.
Best linebacker.
Definitely doing well.
So Zaire, he's such an enigma to me because one week he's all fired up and he's ready to go and everything. Then the next week, kind of like what he said, there's nothing there. You know, you've been on this team for 8 seasons already, and you've never won in Jacksonville. You have a chance to get the division lead. You have the chance to win the division for the first time in like what, 10 years? Like I think
A long
a little
time.
over, yeah, bro, yeah, a little over a decade. You know how important this game is. You are the leader of the defense, whether you agree to it or not. The fact that you said those things, I think that sends a message. I think that's kind of a slap in the face to guys like Cam Bynum, Jermaine Pratt, who has played better than Zaire Franklin. Let's be completely honest. To Grover, to Buck if he comes back, and Leatu.
Wait, how is that a slap in the face to those guys? Like, we're talking about the comments that he just made, or are we talking about different? Okay, yeah. How's that a slap in the face to those guys? This is a.
Guys are,
Go ahead. I'm just trying to see what you're saying.
Those guys have played super hard, and they know how important Jacksonville is. And if Zaire doesn't think it's that important,
okay.
then
I see where you're going. You think those guys, in fairness to Zaire Franklin, those guys didn't say anything about the game like that either. And I don't know if they've been asked or what the thing is with that. So I don't have any evidence of those. I only saw a clip of Zaire Franklin being asked about this history behind this game. So I don't know that I would necessarily look at it as a slap in the face to the players, but maybe you're right, and I do see the perspective that you have there. I do think 1,000,000% it's a slap in the face to the fans. It's just like, you know how important it is to us to finally get that win in Jacksonville. There's no way you don't hear all the chirping from Colts fans. Absolutely not. So for you to say, I don't care about that, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he simply meant that it's not going to affect us like negatively. Like, we're still going to go out there and we're going to win that football game. And that's probably the way he meant it, but it's just not the way it comes off. And that's my problem is, you know how important it is. So I wish he was a little bit more assertive in that, like, no, that ends this year. Like, that drought, that shit ends this year. And that's really what I wanted to hear from him.
Yeah. And unfortunately, he didn't. I would give Zaire the benefit of the doubt, because he's a very vocal player. But your back is against the wall. You've given up a lot of points on defense, and you've been a liability in coverage. Like, it's your time to shine. It's your time to say, we're gonna go out. We're gonna do everything we can, and we're gonna bring home a W back to Indiana. We're gonna go to Jacksonville and bring a W back to the Colts that haven't had a W in all these years.
Yep. So, listen, guys. So let's wrap the show up here. What we're gonna end the show off with is our official predictions. I know we've already said that you two believe we're gonna beat Jacksonville, so we'll start with Jesse. Jesse, I want you to give me a score prediction and a quick Daniel Jones stat line, and we'll reference this next week's episode, see how close we are, who won the prediction game for the week. Let's start with you. Go ahead,
Colts
Jesse.
24, Jacksonville 21. I think Daniel Jones goes 22 of 35 with a touchdown and touchdown for, I don't know, say 210 yards and no picks. I think he has a fumble. I think JT has 2 scores.
All
And
right,
then
so
they
he gave us a
win
little
on the
bonus,
last-second
JT
field
2
goal.
scores. All right,
Yeah.
and now we're going to go to Ben. Ben, what's your score prediction, your quick Daniel Jones stat line, and any other bonuses you might want to throw in there to see if you get right?
I'm gonna say 30-21 Colts. I'm gonna give Daniel Jones I'm gonna say I'll say 20 for 24
Oof.
or 1 touchdown and not many. I'm 1 touchdown and maybe 190 yards. I agree. I think 1 Taylor touchdown. I think Jones is gonna continue this trend of playing clean games. I think he's gonna clean up the completion percentage stuff, but I don't think he's gonna light the world on fire. I think we're gonna live off these short passes.
I have a
Let Taylor
question
do a
for
lot
you.
of damage.
How do you see us scoring 30 points if Daniel Jones gets a touchdown and Jonathan Taylor only gets a touchdown?
Defense.
We're getting everyone involved. We're getting
Tyler Warren's going to get a rushing touchdown. Hey, listen, I can see it. We find some ways.
We're lining,
I don't know if
we're
Doolin's going to
lining
be back.
Doolin up.
I
He's
wish.
on IR still.
Yeah,
We're
he's
lining-
gone.
We're letting Warren throw touchdowns.
I'll tell you right
It's
now,
gonna
man,
be
if
awesome.
Daniel Jones completes 20 passes for 190 yards, I'll be upset. 20 completions for 190, we could do better, dude. But I'll tell you what my prediction is, and I've changed it slightly. So before the show started, I had already written out my prediction. But before the show started, even later than before I wrote the prediction, some breaking news. Michael Badgley has just been waived by the Indianapolis Colts. Badgley,
right.
who has missed 3 extra points this season. I think he only missed 1 field goal this year. Maybe 2. I'm not 100% sure how many field goals he's missed. He's missed 3 extra points. And now we're bringing in, who was it that we said? Blake Group was signed to the practice squad, and he's most likely going to be elevated to be our kicker. Played for the Saints, and he's also a guy that kicks the extra point very well, not as great field goal kicking. I think we're going to see a missed extra point this game. Just a little slap in the face to overreacting to Badgley, who's been an otherwise very reliable kicker, and I don't think it makes a lot of sense. I don't like the move. If I one thing I can criticize Ballard for, it's cutting that leash on Michael Badgley for a 3rd missed extra point, because otherwise he's been very reliable. And I don't see us having a more reliable kicking game now that we're getting Blake Group or Groupie, however you say his last name. I don't mean to butcher it. I just genuinely don't know how to say it. So my final score prediction is the Jaguars win 27-19. Daniel Jones goes 14 for 25. But he has 190 yards. He does have a touchdown. He doesn't turn the ball over. And it'll still be an ugly football game, and people will want to reference it as if it's not his fault. And I'll have to come back here next week to argue all over again. I can't do this. I can't do this. I just spazzed. I just spazzed on my soundboard. Let me play it at runtime.
I remembered we have Daniel Jones as our quarterback. Oh my God, I remember.
It's my favorite sound guy from when he was. I remember we have Daniel Jones as my quarterback. I cannot stand saying it, dude. I had to create a soundboard just to do that. Hey, listen, man, I appreciate you guys for joining me today, and I appreciate all of the listeners for tuning in. If you like this content, please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, tell all your Colts fans, put it in the Reddits, put it in the Twitters, put it in the Instagrams. I like to talk like I'm older than I am. the Twitters, put it in the Twitters, please. And you know, we're going to be right back at you guys with another episode after the Jaguars game, hopefully with better news. Do you guys have any last words?
No, thanks for having us on. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
My man,
Thank you so
Jesse,
much
Ben,
for,
I
doing
appreciate
this.
you guys.
Doing it.
Colts Nation, we will see you again next week. Peace.